everyone.
Hold your horses.
We're live.
We are.
Come on, Sam. We can do better than this now.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. How are we all?
And a huge warm welcome to Tiffany, our star guest for the evening.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us. We were just saying that it's exciting to have you on the call and sharing a little bit of like your journey, I suppose, because it was a little while ago that we did the intensive with you. So you were just kind of sharing offline around just going back and reminiscing, like reminding yourself what was going on for me back then, which I think is kind of fun as well. So for anyone watching, I think Sam's kind of created an event to share what this is about. Tiffany's worked with us as a client. She's actually, do you badge yourself as a coach? You kind of do coaching, but you're more of a breath work practitioner.
I'm more of a breath work. Yeah, my website still lists coaching, but I don't work on that part of my business at all. And I actually haven't coached in quite a while. I like the breath work for sure. That's my approach to coaching.
Yeah. And we can certainly tell like that's where the energy is with you. There's something magical that just comes alive when you really connect with what you're doing in that breathwork space.
Yeah,
I agree.
I think as well that I wrote in the blurb earlier that that you're not technically coaching, but that you're a breathwork practitioner. But how much of the kind of principles remain the same? And often when we're just starting something, there's often exactly the same things that hold people back, or the doubts they have, or the worries they have, or the lack of clarity that they have are often very much the same. And certainly in this case, that was what we kind of found out. And I just think, Tiffany, we wanted to share you as much as your journey, because we love who you are and what you're about and what you bring. You know, I've done we've both done some breath work with you, and we've done a live on our profile, which people here are welcome to look at. And we kind of wanted to just share you, and so you can come here and kind of really just highlight some of the parts of your journey that you think would be useful for people to hear that are just starting out, or maybe not sure where to go next. So why don't we just get you to tell the guys a little something about you and what it is you do?
Can I say before we do, sorry to jump in, but just if people that are watching have questions for Tiffany, like let us have them whilst we've got Tiffany with us, right? Like, and on the replay too. But if you're here right now watching, really use this time. Like, ask your questions, ask what's on your mind. That's all I wanted to chip in. Sorry. Floor is yours.
Whoops. Shoot, I just lost my earpiece, so hold on just a second. These lives, I'm really good at these
technical difficulties.
There we go. At least I didn't say a bad word. Let's see. So I do focus on guided breathwork sessions. My background is I was an executive director of a not-for-profit focused on water quality. So my background was very, very different than where I am now. But I knew I needed a change. So, there's a lot between point A and point B, but basically I told you that background because I was hanging on to a lot of those pieces as I came into this new part of who I am. And it's many of those pieces that in retrospect, and what I learned from you guys were really the things that were holding me up. I had an identity wrapped around who I was previously, and I wasn't quite sure. I mean, I learned a lot of things, but this is just one. I wasn't quite sure how to let that go. And in this new thing I'm doing, it's new from every single side. I mean, there's something, I learned a lot in that previous job that I can bring in and use to this for sure. But yeah, it is very, very different. So anyway, that's just a tiny little bit about my journey. And so now I'm working much virtually. I do virtual groups and one-on-ones, and I'm setting up, I'm beginning to work with a couple people where we can develop something together, kind of like you guys are doing, I guess. So that'll be exciting. Just, I'm kind of exploring in that space and just playing, just seeing what we can come up with. Yeah, so I could keep talking, but that's just kind of the background of where I came from and what I'm doing now.
But was it difficult for you, Tiffany? Because you just touched on, it came from such a different background, right? Like direct air, corporate world, water company, to what you're doing now. Was it difficult to announce to the world that you were doing breath work? Was it difficult to have your network know from your old world what you were doing now? Like, how was that transition for you?
It was terrifying, frankly, especially at first. I was, oh my gosh, I felt like a lot of my Facebook contacts, a lot of my contacts in life, a lot of my friends were all from this world. So it felt like they only really knew this side of me. And it felt really important to me to have their continued approval if possible. And so to put this out there because it's so different was very, very scary. It felt like a real leap. It felt like it made me feel very, 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 very vulnerable. Because I wasn't sure how they would take it. What would they think of me? Would I lose the respect? That was a big one for me. Would I lose the respect of the people I respect so much, and that I had up to that point? So yeah, it was a real big leap for me.
And what was it that helped you crack that? Like, do you feel like it's been cracked? Is probably a better question to ask to start with.
Yeah. I feel so much like it's been cracked that I forget it was even such a big part. I guess what did it, there was probably a number of layers, but one of the big layers was a conversation that I had with you guys that led me to an understanding that it just doesn't matter. What does it matter what they think? I can live my life based on what I think other people think, but in reality, that's their own story. And I can guess, I can struggle, I can, stress about it, or I can just fully give myself permission to become who I am in that moment without holding on to that need, that desire, that fear of what others will think. And once I saw that was not necessary, it wasn't even reality, because I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know what they're thinking. And it turns out it just doesn't matter. Why would I create my life based on what I think they're thinking? So once I got there, I was able to really go for it. That thought was one of my first moments of feeling what I would interpret as actual freedom. Because to be free of what other people think of you is extremely powerful. And for me, it's the thing that then gave me permission to be who I wanted to be, which is what I wanted so badly. I just felt like I wasn't allowed to be, like I wasn't allowed to shed my skin and really be that person, because it might seem weird to people or unusual or different, or what's Tiffany doing now, yeah, coming from a place of reality, which is the only story I know is mine, and that's really the only thing that matters, really the only thing that counts. And I can change my story anytime. I can be free of my story when I think. I think. I don't know.
Well, do you find you ever still get moments, Tiffany, where that old story comes up, or you get kind of pockets of it or patches of it that kind of arise and you experience them still? Or is it completely gone?
In many ways, it's really completely gone. I Do I? Not, I'd say the fears of the things that pop up are not really related to that. I really don't feel that way anymore. It's like it dissolves, which surprised me. Yeah, it just doesn't even matter anymore. The people that I hold most dear to me, everyone's still accepting exactly who I am. And even if they weren't, I realize that it's my job to become exactly who I am. That's the only job I have. So that's what I'm doing. You know, I post all the time, as you see on the Facebook group I created. One of the things I was watching, you know, the recordings of a session that we had, I was talking about, I don't know if I should create a group. And I remember how I felt at the time, and it was very frightening. And now I find it to be it's really fun because it's my space. I can do whatever I want. I can be as creative as I want, which is very satisfying for me. I can not post that day if I don't have anything to say. And, you know, maybe that's not the best business move, but who's to say? Like, maybe they'll just miss me. I don't know. You know, like it's just it's just my space, and I can use it to grow and to learn collectively with others. And I find that very powerful. Yeah, I kind of forgot where I was going with that exactly.
Well, I think you kind of hit on something really important, actually. It's like, because we talk to people about this quite often, where it's kind of, here I am now, and I kind of like to do this, but I'm kind of really scared to do it. So a lot of people don't. They kind of back off, or they do something else or whatever. But yet here you are a few weeks on, kind of thinking, I love doing this. I really enjoy it. Right? And I think there's something in there. And what was it that, I mean, you've shared obviously that what you think about yourself now is more important than what you think other people think about you. But what else changed for you to be able to see that? Because it sounds like it's just fun. It's just playtime. Whereas before it was like, oh my God, I can't do this.
Yeah, it's totally fun. And I think another thing that changed was a letting go of a feeling of needing to have things perfectly ready, perfectly in place, perfectly educated, perfectly, you know, comfortable putting myself out there with my knowledge base, or with my, you know, tools I have available, or whatever it is. I think that I began to approach, after a session with you guys, I'm truly like kind of one of your biggest fans, because
you're like the cheerleader for us here.
I know. It just was so helpful, you know. I was able to learn to legitimately and authentically approach the situations with play in my heart. So it doesn't have to be perfect. I literally have the image in my head when I go to try something new of, you know, kind of reflecting back to a conversation we had. I'm just getting out my blocks, building something. If I like it, awesome. If it doesn't work out, no problem. Kids, we give, and kids need, we should give them more, in my opinion, but spaces to really, really play. That is how children learn. They learn through play. And I remember having this conversation with you and realizing that why, as an adult, when did it become true that adults don't learn through play? I think that we still do. We just put so much pressure on us, and we think that as an adult, we're supposed to look and present ourselves a certain way. But when you can free yourself from some of those images, some of those parameters, those rules that you think are actually rules, and approach it with a playful, creative spirit, you realize that it is a blank canvas. It's a wide open world. There really is not rules. You make up your own, or you make it up as you go, and you change it. You know, when I was talking about the Facebook group in that conversation that we had, one thing you said, Lisa, was, well, you can always make one and then you don't have to keep it. I'm like, oh, who's genius? Like, why would I think I had to keep it? Like, I am just experimenting just like we all are, because we're all human. And that's essentially what we're all doing. We're just learning. We're just gathering information, and we're growing, and we're learning whatever it is we need to learn on our journey, and allowing yourself to do that with a spirit of lightness, happiness, play, not getting caught up. And because I was kind of caught up in the first impression. Oh, I got to make a first impression. And, I come from this background, and boy, it better be good, because all those other reasons, And then Sam said to me, no, you didn't say no, but you're like, well, you also have a chance to make a second impression and a third impression. And I realized in that moment, why am I caught? Like, what is this rule about first impressions? Who cares? There's how many people in the world? I mean, none of us are the right person for everybody. So do your thing, let that thing really unfold, let that thing show, and the people, they'll, I don't know, they just, the people that you resonate with, or that resonate with you, they'll find you, I believe. And that's probably a little simplified. And yeah, I'm sitting here sometimes wishing I'm ready to grow more. But nonetheless, those are other issues. That's not the issue. Play. Yeah, I'm just gonna cut back to the chase there and just go, yeah, play, sense of adventure, lack of perfectionism.
Yeah.
Just being.
That it was so clear to us, Tiffany, when we were working with you, like how you show up to your sessions, how you showed up to your business, how you show up to life. And if I was really thinking about what is it about Tiffany that has her achieve this level of success and this level of transformation in such a short period of time, it is your willingness. It is your commitment. It's like the desire. I talk about your mission being bigger than your ego, right? And it was like your desire to have this was bigger than your fears, right? Even if it didn't feel like it in that moment, the fears felt quite real and overwhelming. But underneath that, there was still this desire that was like, no, I want this for myself, and I'm willing and I'm committed to do what it takes. Not just on the outside, not just in terms of the actions, but really willing to hear something different and have my mind open, right? That's what I really saw in you. And every session, it was like, in a conversation, the penny would drop, and then it would drop a bit further, and then it would drop a bit further. And then we'd see you all over our newsfeed, right? It's like, it was that freedom. It was like, you really do listen. You really listen, and you hear things. And you're willing to take what you hear and go out there and play with it, right? Like, what if my story isn't true? What if this feels truer now? What if this was to be truer? Let's see what that looks like. Mm-hmm. And that is one of the reasons that I think you just show up consistently, and you've made it fun. You've found a way. But Sam and I talk a lot about client enrollment and finding your own way to make that part of your business fun. Because there's a lot of people that have issues and challenges around asking for money and connecting with people without feeling salesy. And you have that connection piece. Like, it's really natural. I've seen you do so many videos now and talk into the camera, and it's like, it's really, really natural. And that came from the willingness to see things differently, a willingness to be clunky, right? Mm-hmm. I know we've pushed you to your edges sometimes with that, but willingness to be clunky, a willingness to do it anyway. And that is that consistent action, that willingness to see something different has been what's got you this far, I think.
Yeah.
Other things as well, but that for me, they feel like, if I was asked, what is it about Tiffany that makes her different? Mm-hmm. That's what I would say.
Yeah. I mean, you can't move beyond your own borders if you aren't willing to see them. How would you even know if it's a border if you can't see it, or if you're not open to hearing about it? And, if you're feeling stuck, how else do you become unstuck but to be willing to look and try and play and move forward and be, being courageous. trusting, being courageous, and being curious are the things that I feel like I carry with me all the time, that for me are really 3 really important concepts, that I feel like they serve me well, because you can be you can have that sense of play and still feel fearful. But if you have the courage piece, courage is not the same as perfection. It's just do it. It's having the drive to want to see where you can go. That for me became bigger than everything else, for sure. Because otherwise, what's the point? I might as well get a job. I don't want to do that.
No, that's real talk right there, isn't it? I mean,
yeah.
It's so true. Me and Lisa were talking about this earlier, funnily enough. It's just reflecting on, what is the difference between, or for us, just personally, what's the difference between before we created our practice and afterwards? And it's really resonant with what we're talking about here. There's a sense of determination to this. Like, your determination in what you want was more important to you than those pockets of feelings, and the feelings and thoughts of saying, no, don't do it. I can't do this. There was a real willingness there. And I remember after our first intensive, me and Lisa, I think we got a message while we were talking from you, and all the things that you put into action. And we were like, yes, like, this is awesome. This is the kind of thing, though. But it's the kind of thing that it's the difference for us between being where we're at and going to where we want to be, like that, just that willingness to play and to, pardon my French, but to fuck it up, because essentially that's what we can do sometimes. And that's cool, because really you can't, you're just learning new stuff, right? And that was one of the fun parts of work. Would you say that's fair?
Definitely, for sure. Yeah I it's all about perception now, right? So your perception truly makes your reality. And if you're holding on to the perception of, people not liking me, then that's what you're afraid of. If you hold on to the perception of, or not, you don't even have to hold on to it. It just becomes who you are. But like that it doesn't matter, that you can totally mess up, and it's okay, because you realize that the reality is not, it's like, it's not as concrete as what we think it is. It's not what we tend to make it into out of habit. Because, we're talking to coaches here. They understand perception and mindset and how powerful a shift in that can be. So anyway, I'd say that's absolutely fair. And so much of it, I think, comes back to how do you see yourself and your goals, your desires, your experiences? What's real?
Did you know it was possible, Tiffany? Like, before you started, did you know that it was possible for you?
I hoped it was possible. No, I didn't. I don't think I ever really thought that I would be able to. I never saw this coming. I never saw my ability to let go, to so thoroughly let go of what other people thought. I didn't know that I had that in me. I didn't know I could let go of that slight perfectionism when it comes to, putting things out there. No, I didn't know. I didn't even know it's what I necessarily needed to do, because I didn't know what the problem was. I just knew I was scared.
Well, what's this done for, obviously we kind of touched on what it's doing for your business, and it's helping your business grow, even if it's, still early stages for you, but what's it done for you personally in your life? Because it's not just business, is it? It's like, it has an impact on us as people. So what's this done for you, Tiffany, so far?
It has allowed me to embrace all parts of myself. The way I kind of see some of my journey is that using breath work was provided me, allowed me, guided me to this space where I felt fully within my body. I felt fully myself. The coaching then brought me from that place and taught me how to take that experience and meld it with the way we think life is. Bring that fully forward, I guess. So what I'm saying is that, let it fully come through without holding back. So I think one of the things that's done for me the most is allowed me to so fully arrive. I remember one of the sessions that we talked, and Sam asked me, we were talking about full potential. What do you see as your full potential? And I started to cry, because the idea of being able to live within something that felt like my full potential was so freeing and beautiful that I don't think I'd ever, up to that moment, I hadn't done. So I would say that's allowed me to be in my full potential at every moment. My full potential tomorrow might be different than my full potential today. It's not a consistent experience necessarily, but the point is that I am comfortable and able to meet myself there because I shed these other things that I didn't need and that weren't serving me, or weren't, then I can't really fully serve anybody else, which is what I want to do. I believe in what I'm doing very, very powerfully. And so I was only getting in my own way. So now I can approach my life, my whole life, with that sense of play, with that sense of freedom. Freedom used to be outside of me. It was something I was working towards. I saw it as what I could mold my life into, that it would then allow me to do. I don't know if that makes sense, but instead it's every moment. It's the freedom to make the choice. It's the freedom to play. It's the freedom to be free of those thoughts and those fears and those. It just doesn't matter. They just don't matter. They just don't. It's like once you get it, you just really, really get it, So yeah.
It's just clear that you get
it. So it's allowed me to play within my business a lot too. I guess the question was about personal, but yeah, I'm just more myself than I've ever been. And why not? Why shouldn't I be? It's who I am. Period.
It's so wonderful to see. I'm kind of disappointed we've not had any questions.
It's all right.
But I've really loved this conversation. I think what you've shared will be so valuable for many people here who are growing their business, full of fear, full of doubt. Can I do this? Just hearing, you don't have to believe in yourself to begin with, right? That's not an essential criteria. Actually, there's a willingness and a commitment that's needed and a desire potentially, but you don't have to have all of that self-belief and that confidence in order to start taking action.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love that you've shared that, Tiffany.
Yeah. Thank you. And that, for me, that's kind of where the trust comes in too, because even though I didn't know, I did, and I didn't necessarily think it was possible, I did have a sense of trusting that there was a possibility of something, growth, even though I didn't know what that looked like. So I'm bringing that piece in because I think the willingness, which is what I would also call the courage, sometimes just needs to come from a sense of trust of your, just do it. Just trust the moment, the process, the whatever word you want to fill in that works for you. That's how I seem to approach it. I trusted that it would work out. It would all come together for me in my head, my body. And obviously you guys were a big part of that, but I didn't even know you. I didn't even know you existed, Trust, courage, curiosity.
And I can totally see that play element being fundamental to your growth as well.
Yeah.
You know, like whatever your next challenge is, whatever the next thing is that feels edgy for you, whatever, whether it's, I don't know, it could be anything, like whatever it is that you want to create, it's like understanding that piece around play, that can be brought into anything, whether it's asking for more money, whether it's doing longer programs, whatever feels edgy. It's like, what if I brought an element of play into that? You know, what
Absolutely.
would
What would it feel like to climb that tree? I've
Mm.
never climbed that tree, but I'm just going to go climb it, see what happens. I can always come down, but there might be apples at the top too. So cool. I would definitely agree with that.
We have a question from Tim, which I think is actually a really good question. Tiffany, are you okay to hang on and answer it?
Sure. Oh yeah.
So Tim said, once you've reached this state of mind and acceptance of yourself, how do you use that to create clients? Love for you to answer that question if you
Sure. I'll do my best. I would say I've been able to use it to create clients because I'm not holding myself back on putting myself out there. So that's one thing. I'm able to let myself connect with people without second guessing what I have to say or what I have to offer. That action alone then allows me to connect with more people, to continue to put myself out there, not hold myself back, because that is what I would have done before, is the second guessing. Did I say the right thing? What do I say now? And, I do that a little bit still, I guess. I have had a few moments where, when it's something new, like creating a video to reach out to somebody, gosh, how exactly do I do this? Play is always the answer.
Yeah.
It really seems like it. So just, I have used it to connect with clients through the same element of just trying, just doing things, just experimenting, seeing what sticks, seeing what works, seeing who responds. One of the things that I had mentioned already that I was kind of originally fearful about was feeling like, because I am in a whole new business than I was before. So in some ways, on a logical, analytical level, the information is different. I mean, having to learn all over again. So I was concerned that I needed a certain knowledge base, needed a certain way broad understanding of the world I'm working in, basically the specific topic. And I do learn all the time. But I've also realized to openly approach it from exactly where I am. Only be who I am right now. Don't try to know more than I know. My thing is just be transparent. And that's really how I've come to the table. And that transparency alone of, I'm not, hey, I learned this today and I'll share it. Just being who I am. I worked with a client the other day, and a message that she sent to me after the session, one of the things she said in there was, thank you for teaching, I'm not going to remember it exactly, but thank you for teaching us, along with you as you learn, or something like that. It was much more eloquent than that. But basically it was, I realized in that moment that people are responding to me just showing up exactly as me. Even if it's not a complete expert, it's just where I am. And they appreciate that to a certain degree. And they are more comfortable and willing to come on board because of that. I don't know that that's true all the time or fully true, but that's how I interpreted that moment, that thing that she shared. So I guess that's another way I feel like it can help create clients, because you're just, people, clients will just appreciate what it is you exactly have to offer without having to work so hard to make up something to offer, if that makes sense.
100%.
Definitely.
People see through when you're trying to be something that you're not.
Yeah.
People see through it. People get suspicious. When you show up warm, open-hearted, in service, honest, transparent, that resonates with people. Not trying to convince anyone of anything, trying to deceive anyone. it's really just, I don't know if I can help, but should we find out?
Mm-hmm.
It's like sometimes can just be as open as that.
Yeah. Yeah. And people, they do respond well to it. So they will then invite a friend to the group, for instance, and then, it might, no, it's not like the group is growing by dozens a week, but it's growing steadily. And it's growing steadily really on its own accord, because as you connect with one person, that person has people they love and they want them to have, a good experience, and they then begin to trust who I am because of that transparency, I think, and that ability to just be comfortable and create a space for other people to be comfortable. That's really powerful, I think, for myself and for others.
Yeah.
I hope that answered the question.
It really does. Well, I hope it does as well, but it did for me.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, that's good. Yeah, I have one more thing I could add to that real quick, and it's just coming from a sense of play when it comes to connecting with people that I might be able to partner with as well. Messaging someone I don't know at all. She just friended me from a different coaches group, and I looked her up. It just occurred to me, reach out to this lady, just talk to her. You don't have to know why exactly. You don't even really have to understand where the conversation is going to go. And she was so completely open to chatting, and she felt, it was a great conversation. And in fact, I'm breathing with her today as we continue to explore what sort of partnership that may or may not work out. But the point is, I approached it with that openness and the play. I didn't trip out that I didn't know her. I didn't trip out that she's been in her business for 10 years and it's way big. I didn't try to pretend that I wasn't brand new. I just reached out to her, and I did that with somebody else too. And we worked together a few times, and we are creating a thing together. And just
so cool.
Yeah.
So cool, Tiffany. Honestly, it really is. And I think, for new coaches who are starting, it is about building relationships, right? Just start building relationships. That's what I was hearing in you. Yeah. I don't know if this is going to go anywhere. Who knows? There's no attachment to that, but I just want to reach and connect and start to build that relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys talk about coming from that place of service, and it is easy to kind of forget about it, I think. And I still do have some things to learn in there, like what exactly does that mean? But the place that I found so far that I can tap inside me is, oh my gosh, I have something that really can help people, and I really want to give that. That's the service that right now I can, and that is where I come from with it. And that's great.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. It kind of is what it is, really. It's loving somebody enough to share what you love doing.
Yeah.
And that there's so much in that. Just again, it's like Tim said, thank you, by the way. There's definitely something in that, just that real kind of slowing down. And you've heard of the term attraction marketing. I always used to think it was like, which it is for most people, I get it. It's like, all this stuff, websites, content stuff, and funnels, and all the kind of niching and that kind of stuff. But for me, what you were saying there is what attraction marketing is, which is being me. And those people who really dig it, and when we're being really just ourselves as we are, it creates trust very quickly. And that for me is one of the parts of why you've been successful so far, or listening to you.
Yeah. One thing you said to me too, there might be 1 million breath workers out there, or 1 million coaches out there, but there is only one me. And whatever it is that makes up me, so be that. And that's my brand. That's what I have to offer. And that's what people then can connect with and learn from if it feels comfortable for them. It's kind of how I learned to see it, or realized to see it. It's been an exciting ride.
So far.
So far, I know.
I'm excited to see what unfolds for you.
Definitely.
Yeah. I'm excited too.
Thank you
Definitely.
so much, Tiffany, for coming and spending some time with us tonight. We might get questions on the replay as well. Are you okay if we kind of forward them on? I'll make you aware of them, and we'll leave back.
Yeah, no problem.
How do people get hold of you if they want to experience breathwork, if they're interested in breathwork? How do they get in touch with you?
They can join my group, which is Breath Expressions. That'd be one way. They could go to my website, which is breathexpressions.com. They can message me, Tiffany Janelle, Janel, at outlook.com. Or contact you and say, hey, how do I get a hold of that one girl? Those are probably the best ways.
Perfect.
But if anyone writes anything on this video, Tiffany, you'll get a notification anyway because I've tagged you into it. So if anyone writes any questions or anything, you will be notified. So if anyone does want to kind of ask questions, if you're watching this later, like Lisa said, then do, because it's, you know.
Yeah, I would be so privileged. It'd be great to work with anybody who felt just curious even. It'd be cool. See how, it's always cool. Every single time. It's neat. It's a neat journey. It's fun. So thank you. Thank you for having me on and letting me, take these thoughts and try to spit them out. Take these experiences and try to put them into words. It's great. I appreciate the opportunity.
You're very welcome, and thank you so much.
We appreciate you.
Cool.
Yeah. Right. Thanks, guys.